They're like, I'm gonna review the whole show now. I'm just gonna.
Yeah. I love the My Anime List review. Of people who dropped the show.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I watched the 2.5 episodes of this and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10. It's like, all right.
What do you think you need to like watch an entire show to review it? Because who was it that went through this? Some critic went through this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, some critic.
Your movie sucks.
Yeah,
right?
Your movie sucks, right?
You wouldn't watch all the movies to the end because you'd get. But I think if you drop a show, like I feel like if you're giving it praise, I feel like you can't give it praise and only have watched half of it.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
that doesn't make any sense.
If you drop a show, it's got to be normally a negative review. Right?
Where do you all stand on that? Like the whole, can you review a movie or a show without having watched all of it?
If the movie is so bad or boring or uninspired and you're halfway through it, I think it's totally valid to be like, listen, I've got a bunch of other movies to watch.
Yeah.
This clearly isn't gonna. It's already been so bad in the first 50 minutes.
Yeah.
How is it going to turn it all around?
But here's the question: in a reviewing capacity, though.
Yeah, that's the same thing. See, I don't like the way this guy I don't like how he differentiates the two. You have to understand that this is not like a separate. The reason why reviews are the way they are is because people want to hear other people's opinions on media that they also might potentially watch or have watched, not only to understand more about the media, to develop a further perspective on it, but to also understand more about the person, because what somebody watches and what they enjoy and they not enjoy and the reasons why they might enjoy or not enjoy it say a lot about that particular person, which can in turn say more about other media that they also have an opinion on, which would give you an even greater insight on that piece of media. So it develops a stronger and stronger understanding of media simply by understanding the people that watch it. Before reviewers, people would just do this with art in their lives with people around them. Now there are these people who can do this on a massive scale. There's no differentiation there. The lines are blurred. There is a differentiation, but the lines are blurred. To say that, oh, this is a separate group of people and they have this set of responsibilities, that's just being foolish. That's putting things in a box for no reason to put things in a box.
As a viewer, I think, of course, you don't have to watch every finish.
Yeah, see, I don't like this.
But if you're going to defend...
A reviewer is just a viewer. Again, it's a reviewer. That's what that is.
Definitively be like, this movie is bad or this movie is good, but you don't watch the whole thing. Do you think that's valid?
If your job is a movie reviewer, I think it's valid. You're watching so many movies.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on like. I think it depends on like a case by case basis, but like at the end of the day, if a piece of media is so
exactly, it's case by case basis, just like every piece of media and every person and all that stuff. Yeah.
So bad that a reviewer can.
And so if there's even a potential where it might be acceptable even once, then prozd is wrong.
Not finish it. That even if it gets better,
Your powerful statement.
Then it's a powerful combination.
Shut the fuck up.
See, that's why I don't understand. It's like this expectation. Let's say you do watch the first half of something and it's really bad, and then it does get better in the later half, but you don't watch it. If you decide to only watch the first half, drop it, and then say it's not good, as a reviewer, that's still totally fair. You don't need to watch the second half because there are other factors that play into the appeal of a piece of media than just the sole categorize, like the compartmentalized piece of media and nothing else. Don't look at anything else. Just look at the piece of media and that's all you can analyze it for. Like, what the hell is that? Because you really think about it, the only reason why people enjoy the media in the first place is because of all their previous life experiences and who they are as a person leading up until that point. So the context absolutely does matter. You have to take into account some people who have these kinds of life experiences will not resonate with these things, and so like that's literally the only factors in enjoying art. It's not that there is this piece of art that can be analyzed separately from its context, and you could separate out the context and you can go, well, it doesn't matter that you don't like the artist because the art is this good, and that shouldn't play into it. And again, it's all case by case, right? But when you're it's like if my like my mom dies and somebody makes a joke about like my mom dying or whatever. Yeah, it might have been funny before, but now it's not funny anymore to me. So you can't go, okay, well, let's ignore the context and just analyze the joke. No, that matters. The whole reason why the joke is funny in the first place is because I know the definitions of all these words and I speak English and all these different things that led up to it in the first place. You can't analyze something separately from its context. 100% of the analysis comes from the context. So if something is too long, like One Piece or whatever, that is absolutely a justifiable reason to say, yeah, this thing might be incredible, but it's way too much of a time commitment. You'd rather do other things with that time and watch other things with that time. So I'm in terms of a score based off of how much I'd recommend it to someone. Yeah, no, it's not going to be a perfect score, even if it might be a perfect show, even if they might watch it and consider it a perfect show. All the other factors do play into it, and it's foolish to think otherwise.
If an anime is bad up to a certain point, then you got to admit that there is something about the show that a lot of people would not be able to get through because it is
Right.
bad. But in a reviewing capacity,
See, I completely disagree. I mean, not with you, but
Yeah.
with you, I think.
Disagree with me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We already did.
yeah.
I think if you're going to definitively review something, you have to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's the
No. Because then you can take it further. Oh, do you really understand the piece of media? Did you watch the credits? Did you watch the director's commentary, director's cut? How can you really say you have given a thorough review of this thing without watching the prequel series and the sequel series? How can you really say that without playing the video games involved with it? That's all part of the franchise, and the manga and the gotcha game that came along with it too, and all this other stuff. How can you truly say that you don't like it then? What's the difference? What's even the reason to review arcs of One Piece then? Like how everybody was reviewing the Marineford arc. What's even the point of that? Shouldn't you review the whole series? Or is it just as fair to communicate to the world, hey, I watched this section. I didn't like it. And because of that, I'm not going to watch the rest of it. I don't have faith in it. Now, you can argue about like the semantics, and I think that's such a stupid thing to argue about. Oh, but you're not reviewing the show, you're reviewing the first chunk of episodes or whatever. But the communication is the same. What the audience will take from your review is they'll understand, okay, you didn't watch the rest of it. What you watched was so bad that you had to drop it. So what can I infer from my own personal experience watching shows where it was so bad that I had to drop it, but people were telling me it's good, and I decided to go back and watch it. Was it good? Was it not? And they'll come to their own conclusions. Why act like everybody who's gonna read the review or whatever is like a robot, and they should all understand in the same way what a review is trying to say to them, and all take it the same way? In that way, reviews can't all be done in the same way like that. A viewer would benefit greatly from the information that the first few whatever of a piece of media is so bad that they didn't feel like continuing it. Do you just not make the review then, if that's what you did as a reviewer, right? All these guys are reviewers, right? What if that happens to like 10 pieces of media? Are you just going to let all the people who watch you waste all their time watching all this media that you know they're just going to drop because they resonate with your sense of taste as well because they're subscribed to you? Are you just going to let that happen? Reviewing serves a much greater purpose than just letting people know, like it's much deeper than that. There's further levels of communication than just the objective enjoyability of a show or a movie or something like that. There's much more communication going on there about the kind of person that they are and the kind of person that they want as their audience, and what they should do as a result, and whether or not they should do this before watching this, and how old they should be, and what kind of life experiences will change the way that, like, if you've been depressed before, that will largely shape your viewing experience of Evangelion. If you've never been in love before, every single romance piece of media will be completely different before and after that experience. Like, if you have a certain amount of time on your hands versus not, that plays into what you'd want to watch. And people who have the same taste as you, that resonate with you, that you're subscribed to, that would be that would be great information to have. Hey, this thing is so bad that you dropped it. Okay, you didn't watch the rest of it. Okay, the communication is still there. The message has been received. That is still that is a valuable piece of information that I could consume as a watcher, as a viewer of this reviewer. To say that, oh, as a reviewer, you shouldn't do that, that's pathetic.
The minimum you have.
So what if you're a reviewer? What if you're a reviewer and you go, okay, my reviewing capacity, I'm only going to review the things, I'm only going to give opinions on things that I've watched completely. And you watch a few things and you drop it halfway through. And somebody asks you your opinion. Are you just going to go, well, I don't have an opinion? You do have an opinion. You do. And it's a valuable opinion.
Especially when it's a TV series as well, I feel.
Yeah, like
Because it can very quickly change and turn among
I mean, we brought up
different
Clannad,
episodes.
right?
Yeah.
Clannad, like, you know, I could not authoritatively be like, Clannad is bad all the way through, or it's just.
Yeah, but someone who has the same taste as you, who has the same attention span as you, or at least someone that you resonate with, someone whose taste that you resonate with, not same, but someone whose taste you can at least respect and understand the consistency of, them giving their take on Clannad, whether it be, I couldn't make it to After Story because I was so bored through just Clannad, like just the original, just the first part of it. That's still valuable information to have. That's still valuable information to know. Like, okay, everybody is saying that it's like this, and everybody's saying you got to get past this first original part before you get to the really good part. And that will also happen. There will always be people who watch the entire thing. There will always be people, viewers and reviewers, who have the time on their hands to do that, even to media that they don't particularly enjoy, who will go through and watch the entire thing just to find out what happens. So there's value in everyone's opinions here.
Bad. Because when I
Except this guy's.
finally sat down and watched, and like the last 11 episodes
Right.
are quite good.
But,
Yeah.
but that's,
Counterpoint then, because I got okay.
Sure.
Do you think you need to watch all of One Piece
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
order
say,
to be
like,
able to
this is-
review it?
yeah.
Right?
Like there's some shows where the length is so absurd.
Yeah.
That, like, it would be completely unrealistic to expect like a reviewer who's their job to get through all of this media. And
Yeah.
also,
Forget about who's their job. If somebody asks me, as One Piece is ongoing, it hasn't finished yet. What if it turns out to be completely terrible in the last arc? That's going to come out soon or whatever, right? Oh no, wait, not everyone was reviewing the Wano arc, whatever. That's what it was. But if my friend is on Discord and he's like, "Yo, bro, you watch One Piece?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro." He's like, "Hey, what do you think about it?" I go, "Oh, I didn't finish. It's not done serializing yet. It's been, they've been making One Piece since before I was born, and I'm 22 years old now. But I gotta wait till they finish to give my opinion on it. That's stupid. Give your opinion on any point at any part of anything. All of it's valid. All of it means something, and people will take that into consideration, knowing what piece of that media, what perspective you're looking at it from.
imagine how much you would fucking hate your job.
If someone says to me, "I dropped Planet after the first half, it sucks," and then somebody else says to me, "Oh yeah, I watched the full thing through. The first half is not very good, but the second half is incredible," I wouldn't be like, "Well, that contradicts what the first guy said, because the first guy said it sucks, so I shouldn't watch it." I'll be like, "Okay, that's totally reasonable. Both opinions seem to line up and make total sense. This guy dropped it. He didn't have the level of patience that the second guy had. That makes sense. So maybe I might consider watching it. You know, if I get through a few other things and along similar lines, and I feel like I have the attention span to handle, you know, going through the BS of the first half of it, then maybe I'll watch it and I'll let that play into my consideration as to what I choose to do.
If you're like, I have to review One Piece.
And that's why I stopped reviewing anime.
Well, I think with One Piece, you're not gonna. No one is gonna be like, I'm gonna review all of it as a whole. Usually, if you're reviewing One Piece, you're going like episode by episode, or at least arc by arc.
Yeah, because like I feel like you need to watch enough of something to at least get a taste or a feeling about what this show is about.
You need to watch enough of something for it to do something to you. And if one episode is enough for you to go, I'm not watching this, then there you go. That's it. The rules are an afterthought. They're nothing more than observations of and categorizations, because the insatiable desire that humans have to categorize everything as to why something did what it did. But at the end of the day, if it works, it works. All rules can be broken, all of them. If you set a rule like that, you have to take in a piece of media to at least understand, well, then where's the line? What do you consider understanding? Do you consider the whole thing understanding? Do you consider the external media around it, the social media posts and the memes and the fandoms and all this stuff, do you consider that's also part of the whole thing? Understanding what this thing has to offer? Largely in anime reviews, because it's so community driven, they'll talk about the community in the reviews because it's an important factor. It's an important factor in why people watch anime in the first place, is the community. To get in, if it does that thing to me, if it makes me stop watching after one episode, that's not trivial. That means something, simply because it managed to do that. If you say, okay, at least 3 episodes, well, then that rule will be broken. Simply because it did. So, as a reviewer, you have one job. Honesty. Say what it did. Say what it made you feel. Say all that stuff. And be honest and open about it, and try to put it into words as best as possible, as best as you can possibly do. Put a good fit effort into somehow translating into words. As you know, something will be lost in translation, but do the best you can in conveying what it made you as a person experience. That's really the only thing that I could ever say is a responsibility of a reviewer. Nothing else. That seems to cover everything. All these other rules you might have will either be followed or broken by this simple aspect of reviewing. So yeah, just make reviews on whatever. And do it however you feel like doing it. Because if you feel like doing it, then there's merit to it. There's something to it. Because there's a reason why it made you feel like doing it that way. And if you continue to do it that way, people will pick up on that. They'll realize the kind of reviewer you are. And if you're consistent with it, they'll go, okay, I'm going to take his opinion and filter it through this context, understanding the kind of way that he reviews things. So that way I can get a clear picture as to whether or not I would enjoy that thing or not. So the moral of the story is, don't treat your audience like they're idiots. Don't treat them like they're stupid. Expect them to be able to handle all kinds of stuff and be able to infer whether or not they would enjoy something or not based off of however you watch it or consume it, and whether or not you enjoyed it or parts of it or whatever. You give your opinion and you expect them to be able to take that and use that to their advantage, and that they won't be stupid, and that they need their hand held and their diaper changed along the way. Oh, I have to understand the entire piece of media to fully convey. No, I have to understand what it made me feel for me to convey it. That's all the information that I need to give. And that's the most valuable piece of information you can give as a reviewer.
And what it can achieve. Because like, to me, if I hear someone like judge One Piece, I ask, okay, how far have you gotten, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
If someone drops it in like
that plays into it.
first few arcs. I'm just like, well, you didn't even scratch the surface into what One Piece can do. If they watch until Alabasta, they still don't like it. I'm like, okay, I understand. Maybe One Piece just isn't for you at that point.
I think it's all about like what percentage of.
And what's crazy is Alabasta's still very close to the beginning. Alabasta's what, episode 250 or something like that?
Of the overall show you actually consume, right? Because
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
you know, if you, as you said with the One Piece thing, if you only watched like up until the Alabasta arc, you know, in retrospect, that's a very small percentage of the show. That's only a bite size.
Still fucking
But see,
massive.
we-
though.
You know, people's personal interests and personal tastes play into what they enjoy far more than any of the actual, you know, storytelling fundamentals that people put into their medium, or the aesthetic of it, or anything like that, or how much hard work they put in. The majority of the time when people go to restaurants, the food that they enjoy most at those restaurants is not the specialty of those restaurants. It's just whatever food they like more. I like mashed potatoes more than I like fries, just personally. So even at a place that makes 10% better fries than mashed potatoes, I'm probably still going to like the mashed potatoes better, which is why I tend to order it almost every time. And the same thing applies in this kind of media as well, especially when it's so so malleable based on what people who you can understand their tastes and their mind and their thought process say about that piece of media. That's why SAO did what it did a complete 180. Everyone loved it, then everyone hated it. And that's totally valid.
Still have to be specific though on reviewing capacity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just casual
That's so stupid. What's the difference? Is there casual versus competitive viewing?
viewing. Of course, no one has to watch all of One Piece to be like, it's not for me.
I'm casually doing it, and I'm just stating my opinion. Does that make me a reviewer? Okay, fine. I'm just going to say it with words. I'm just going to, because I know he likes to mess around with words, so I'm not a reviewer. Now, in practice, everything that a reviewer would expect to do, I'm doing the same exact things, but I'll just say I'm not a reviewer. I'll just say I'm a casual viewer, and that should be okay. I'm not an official reviewing capacity kind of person. You know, I'm just casually doing all the same things and eliciting the same role of myself online that a reviewer would have, and creating the same sort of results in audiences and in people's minds that a reviewer would also have. But I'm not a reviewer in an official capacity.
Yeah.
Like if you're just watching, you're like, I'm not really into it. Like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And I often tell people, I say, kind of like what you said, if you watch Arlong Park and after that still don't give a shit,
Yeah.
then I don't think it's gonna work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it's like, okay, let's say, like you said, as a casual viewer, it doesn't matter if you drop it, right?
Yeah.
But for me as well, it's like if the reviewer also feels the same way, where he's like, I'm cutting out here. I'm like, okay, that's something I can kind of relate to, because
Exactly.
I wouldn't sit through it and just dredge through it just because
Yeah.
I have to. I feel like I have to finish it.
It's
You know-
gonna depend on the context of what the reviewer is doing,
Yeah,
right? If the
right,
reviewer
yeah.
is like,
Well, obviously, but that's why the reviewer the context of what the reviewer is doing is like a crucial part of the review. I just watched a I Hate Everything review. He bought the DVD. He bought a bunch of merch. He bought the T-shirt. He's doing all the other things. He's interacting with these people on Twitter, on the creators of the movie and all this stuff, and like he's interacting with the media in a completely different way than most people. So he's getting a totally different experience out of it, and that's understandable. You can't just say. You can't even compartmentalize reviewers as all doing the same thing in this way, because most reviewers don't just review the piece of media and then move on. Even the people who you would think do that, who like review manga one chapter at a time as it comes out, and make videos, they churn out videos like every day on like a bunch of different manga. They're always talking about the community reactions to it, and you know what's happened with the creator on Twitter, and the creation process, and what like it's tying it back into this thing, and it has this kind of implication, and it sounds like it taken inspiration from this like historical event, and they're bringing up all these things. They always do this. You can't separate the two.
If someone just asking it, what do you think about One Piece? It's like, oh, I watched up to this point, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
That's fine. But if you're putting out like a video like, is One Piece good or bad?
No one just objectively reviews at something. An objective review of something is called a SparkNotes summary or a synopsis of what happened. It's that's not, nobody cares. That's not a review. That's literally not a review.
Or whatever. Like,
That's such a loaded question.
and also, bringing in like a long show like One Piece, then you're gonna have some exceptions.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because that would be something you would expect to be reviewed in chunks.
Yeah,
right.
But if it's a
totally
12
agree.
episode show, then I think
But exceptions. They're all going to be exceptions. Then there's no rules. If it's not like, as an intelligent person, if there's going to be no line between rule and exception, the rule only serves to give people who aren't serious about it somewhat of a guideline to do what everyone else is doing. If they don't have enough creativity and ingenuity to break the rules and still make things work, that's what it's for. But I have no respect for those kinds of people. Push yourself. Whatever you're going to do, put 100% into it. And forget about the rules. If there's going to be this many exceptions, just forget that it's a rule in the first place and act accordingly.
It's like, or even like a 2 core, like watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And a movie in particular, it's like,
I do agree.
just
Like
watch them.
with
couple
a
of hours.
movie, with a movie, you should finish it before you.
Well, they clearly don't watch old Indian movies because those are like 5 hours long.
Review it. I mean, you can stop, as a viewer, but if you're reviewing it, if it's a movie, I do think.
What do you mean? If I walk out of the theater as a viewer, so okay, it's all about if you're a reviewer or a reviewer, as if there's a difference, as if that matters. The only difference between someone like gigguk and someone like my friend who goes to the movie theater and walks out, and who will tell me, bro, I walked out of the theater halfway through. The only difference between those two is my friend probably told me and like 5 other people. Gigguk probably told like 500,000 people. That's it. That's literally the only difference. Is the number what makes a difference? So where's the limit? Is it like if you got 1,000 subscribers, then you're considered a reviewer, and then you can't do these things anymore, and you can't have an opinion on these things, even though if your opinion resonates with more people, then it should technically be able to be understood and be valid to a wide net of people. So you should feel more comfortable about giving it even more, even if it's an even stronger and even more rule-breaking opinion. The only difference, okay, so I'll put it like 10,000 subscribers, then I'll be an official reviewer. What about if I have 9,800? Then am I an official reviewer? Can I just do whatever I want then? And then when I'm licensed as an official reviewer, then I gotta change up the way I do things? It's stupid.
You should.
I don't know. Right?
There's literally no difference between the person who walks out of the theater and says, yeah, that movie sucked. I only watched half of it. And I left the theater because it was a waste of my time. There's no difference between them and any of these guys. The only difference is the size of their audience.
And I
If you truly believe the size of your audience separates you as a person from all the normal people, that says a lot about you, not about the media you're consuming or whatever. That says a lot about you as a person and the way you view others.
can only imagine the life of a movie reviewer as hell, because you have to watch. Most films are mediocre, like that come out, right?
Yeah.
Like think about all the movies that came out last year, and how many of them.
But
do you remember
that's
as
true
being
with
as
like
good?
every piece of media, right?
that's
Like,
true with- yeah.
What was it, like
Right, but,
Sturgeon's
like, it's
Law or
like,
something?
I would not expect any sane human to sit through all of these movies and then be like, yeah, this was really, really bad, but I just.
You know, I used to watch hella movies. Hella. And this is hedonic adaptation is what this is. It's not that most pieces of media are mediocre. it's most pieces of media that people will watch will be mediocre. You could watch the greatest media in the world, and you will adjust your rating to have the majority of things fit into a 5 out of 10. That's just how it works. I literally just found this. Look at this. This is my old like movie pass stuff. Dude, this was legendary. This was legendary. I was one of the first people who got movie pass. And I would go to the theater.
Yes, exit only.
I would go to the theater literally every day.
I'm literally the only one in the theater.
I'd go there every day. I'd bring my backpack in there and I'd do my homework in there. I'd hop on my laptop and get to work, edit videos and things like that. I would just do that in the theater. I would just go from theater to theater to theater and just do that all day. All day. Like after school, it was either, like in high school, it was either I'm hanging out in a studio with some rappers or musicians and we're doing a studio session, or we're going to the theater, alone.
Like the only one.
This is one of the early times.
I'm about to mess around so much.
Yeah, I caused a bit of damage a couple times.
Watch out, guys. The ultimate troll right here. I'm gonna go ahead and sit in the handicap seat. Yeah, the handicap seat. Hey, it's because I'm mentally
handicapped. The handicap seats really were the best seats in the house, bro.
I'm gonna go watch the movie from the projector because there's no one else here.
I want to one day throw a party in a movie theater and like go back there, swap out that HDMI with with a PC or Xbox or something like that, and then play like 4-player Halo 3 split screen custom game with hella people like knockout on there, you know?
Yes, exit only. Exit. We're in the theater.
We used to do this hella, bro. There's a theater right here, walking distance from here. This is the one, and oh my god, the amount of people that do this is ridiculous.
We're in the theater.
And you could just look online for the showtimes, so you know what to do and when to go. When to go.
We made it in the theater.
It'd been a while since I'd done that. Last time I did that, I was like a little kid. But yeah, Movie Pass. I remember this is when there was like this movie Jigsaw that my friend wanted me to give him a ticket for, so I went on Movie Pass, got him a ticket. And yeah, I didn't go to the movie theater that day, but that was great about Movie Pass. I could just give tickets to my friends, and they could just go watch the movie, and they didn't need to buy it whenever I wasn't going. Maybe that's why that's definitely why. That definitely played into it. But just felt like showing that.
Finished it, because to me it's like if the first half was super shit but it got amazing in the second half, that it would still lose marks or points in your head for having the really shit first half.
Yeah.
Like I dropped 86. Everyone got really annoyed that I didn't like 86. I just thought it was so boring, and I watched 9 episodes of a show.
Yeah,
that is so much time.
Well, you're not reviewing it, you're just viewing it.
No, I know, yeah, but I mean,
But you are reviewing it. You're giving your take on it. You're giving your take that you didn't like it. That's what that is. And people understand that. If Gig did the same thing and Gig said, I liked it, after watching 9 episodes, I've only watched 9 episodes so far and I really like it, that's a review. Is that a review at that point because he likes it? I mean, it operates the same way because his audience is going to interpret that in a way where they can understand the kind of show 86 is based on knowing the tastes and preferences and tendencies of gigguk. So they're going to think about that. Whether it be the full thing or 9 episodes, it's in practice, it's the same thing. Giving your take to somebody about something is no different from a review.
I guess I gave my
but he gave his opinion on Trash Taste, therefore he's a reviewer now.
So I said it was just boring and I didn't enjoy it, and I was 9 episodes.
I mean, listen, I watched 1 episode of No Game No Life, thought it was dog shit, and stopped watching. So I'm with you. Like, I do intend to sit down and watch it at some point and actually watch it. But as a casual viewer, I was like, I don't like this at all. But
as a casual viewer, it's like, why do you have to separate these things out? I don't understand.
Like,
it's all about words, this dude. I could give a review and then he'll be like, I don't, this review sucks. And I'll be like, wait, but I was just a casual viewer. I was just a casual viewer. And he'll be like, oh, okay, it's fine then.
I think
It's a good show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even if with them
Okay, no,
like
The movie was fucking
okay.
boring, but the TV series was pretty good.
okay.
Yeah.
I think also some shows are just not for me. But
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the movie, I mean, I don't know. I do board game reviews, right?
Yeah.
I've played a lot of shit games.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
those take even longer than movies. Some games take like 6 hours to play, and you're done. You're like, that was throughout horrible. I guess for me, if I'm gonna review something,
Yeah.
You want to.
I have to be like, because there can be aspects near the end. Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, the last 30 minutes,
Yeah.
it got really interesting. And
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
guess
vice
that-
versa.
I guess that's why you, with reviewers, it's kind
But then again, you could say the same thing about any other piece of media in any other form of context. You could say, I watched this piece of media, I really liked it, but, or better yet, you could say, I didn't like it. I hated this piece of media. But after watching all the context around it and looking deeper into it and looking at what the director had to say and looking at what the writer had to say and diving into all this stuff, diving into the lore, like, I just found out the final episode of Breaking Bad, Felina, isn't just a scramble of letters from finale. It's Felina. Fe, iron, Li, lithium, Na, sodium. Iron in blood, lithium in meth, and sodium in tears and sweat. Blood, meth, and tears. Felina. That makes me appreciate it even more. So that has nothing to do with just a piece of media by itself. But that plays into my enjoyment of it. And if that happens enough, where there's this thing I didn't enjoy, and then after all the pieces of context, I do enjoy it, does that mean you can blame me for, in the beginning, saying I didn't like it because I watched the full piece of media? I don't understand. Oh, you might pick up on the last 30 minutes and there might be something really enjoyable. Yeah, there might be really enjoyable things across the board in the context, in the broader context of all pieces of media that'll make you appreciate and understand it based on your level of patience. This is largely determined by your level of patience. So that's actually what does it. Patience is probably the most controlling factor that a person can have that can be put into one word as to what kind of media they'll enjoy and what way they'll enjoy it. And to assume or even assert that viewers have the right to have a completely separate scale of patience from reviewers is not only just blatantly stupid, it makes reviews worse, because reviewers should act as viewers. They should act as viewers and then give their opinion based on their viewing experience. And if their viewing experience is to drop something, then that's their experience.
kind of like, you got to find the reviewer that you kind of have the similar
Sure.
Yeah.
outlook on movies
Yeah.
or media.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I like it when my reviewer is like,
It goes even deeper than that. It goes even deeper. You got to find reviewers that you can understand, even if they don't have even if they have a completely different outlook as to what you like. Dunkey said it best. He said the value of a reviewer doesn't come in their ability to create good opinions or whatever the hell that even means. It's their consistency. If they consistently like everything you don't like, and they consistently don't like everything you do like, when they say something is trash, you know you should watch it.
this movie was so shit, I had to drop it 50 minutes in. Even
Yeah.
though it's my job to finish this, it's that bad that I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when it's that bad, but like,
Well, that's what they've been talking about. It's not up to you to decide when it's that bad, then you should. No, it's the fact that he did drop it means it's that bad. They've been saying it this whole time. And then Joey goes, well, when it's that bad. What do you mean, when is that bad? Nothing changed. The simple fact that you do drop it means it's reached the level of bad based on the person watching it to drop it. It's not like Connor said, no, but it's way, way, way worse. So now he's got the right to drop it. No, whatever it is, if he dropped it, that's not trivial. He dropped it. That's what that means.
I think there's a lot of like anime, especially where it's like, yeah, the first half or the first couple of episodes is like really fucking a weak start, right?
Yeah,
but it could have an ending that's like surprisingly good. And I feel with anime, there's a lot more where it's vice versa, where the start is really really
Yeah, and
strong,
then they drop the ball.
then the
Yeah.
ending is just dog shit.
Really?
Like Dead Man 1.
Maybe I haven't seen a lot of anime then. I feel like I've seen a good amount, but most things I watch have a really weak start and get better and better as it goes on. Most 20 to 40 episode animes, like all the 26 episodes, those tend to have a bit of a weak start for me and then build up like really, really nicely. And obviously there's like the things like Death Note and whatever that just have insanely strong starts, and everyone can sort of agree on things like that. But even like the most beloved anime on Mal, Full Metal Alchemist, for me started off pretty weak. It got better and better as the story got more and more complicated. I remember even like when they were making all this like all these like religious arguments, with the priest who had like the fake philosopher's stone in the beginning. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty elementary stuff. Like it's pretty to critique religion by showing that the leaders are just frauds. Understandable. Like that happens in real life all the time. But then when it got to like, oh wait, look at what happened to their society. I'm like, oh, this gets deep. This gets deep and nuanced. So the majority of my anime experiences have been starting off very weak and becoming very strong later on. And I let that play into it. And if it starts off very weak, I'll usually give it much more of a chance because it's anime. And that's just the tendency that I've noticed.
Wonderland's like a great example where it's like first couple of episodes were fucking like, oh my god, this is insane, and then it was just dog shit near the end, right? But like you wouldn't have known that, and the manga as well, right? But like you wouldn't have known that if you didn't stick through it to the end.
Yeah, I mean that's like most seasonal anime nowadays, where you watch the.
So if I watched it, I would actually just recommend. I would tell people like, hey, bro, the reviewers that I've seen told me to only watch the first few episodes. Just leave it at that. So I did, and I liked it, and I'm going to pass on that recommendation to you. Do whatever you want with this information. If you want to watch the whole thing, go for it. Obviously, I have no control over you, but this is what I chose to do, and I got this level of enjoyment out of it, or I didn't, or whatever it might be.
First 3 episodes, and like, damn, this fucking slaps.
Like they put all the effort into the first 3.
Yeah, exactly, right.
It's just because of the way that they make manga, right? Like you have to have the good initial setup.
Yeah,
They gotta
good
hook
time,
you.
yeah.
So they go
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
with the first few chapters, and then they're like, "Oh shit, we didn't plan this far ahead."
Yeah.
It falls off. But like,
That's the thing I find very interesting about anime. It benefits greatly, like immensely, from thinking ahead. Like unbelievably from thinking ahead. Way, way, way more. It seems to be way more of a make or break than something like live action. You can have a Breaking Bad where they don't know where the story's going and they just go along with it, and they're very, very character focused. And if they can truly, truly understand their characters and break them down, boil down every little piece of their personality and then put them in these interactions, it'll turn out to be an entertaining thing. But with anime, I feel like planning ahead and knowing where the story's going to go and knowing how things are going to end, at least in a certain way, but maybe it'll pick up later, but knowing how the story structure is going to end up, at least for the near future, right? I feel like that greatly benefits anime. So, yeah. I think the examples are obvious. I don't want to give any examples. I think a great example would be like Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like that, where the end wasn't very poorly, like, the majority of like season 2 and season 3 had all been set up in season 1. It was all very methodically planned out. But in the very last episode, that wasn't very well planned out. They didn't think about that, and they nearly ruined the show because of it.
plan ad, right? I would never judge someone and be like, that's fucked up. They were like, Clan was so boring, I couldn't make it to After Story.
No,
Yeah.
I totally.
I think that is
I'm okay
very.
with that.
I get it. I'm an intelligent enough person to get what that means and to realize maybe it gets good later on. I'm not so stupid, you know? I don't know if he's saying this because his audience is stupid. I doubt it. I don't think they are. I was subscribed to him a while ago. Maybe I still am. I don't know. But I used to see his videos on my recommended, and I thought they were pretty entertaining. So I don't think, I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but at least I can have enough intelligence to like understand that based on their words, the real subtext of their communication has this essence of whatever it may be of, you know, this part of the show is bad or whatever. At least I have enough intelligence to understand that and base my decisions off of that. I don't know what the hell kind of audience he's talking about, separating out reviewer from viewer as if reviewers have the responsibility because to do this whole thing because they're the ones who can truly understand these things, and then the normal, you know, the peasant viewers don't get, you know, they're not smart enough to understand, you know, to get any value from a good faith effort as just another viewer sharing their own opinion. You have to go further than that, you know, because your audience they're not very smart. So I don't know why he decides to separate these people out, but it's not what he's saying. I'm taking it a bit extreme, but just separating these out is stupid.
Bad. It's unreasonable to be like, you have to watch 25 episodes before it gets good.
Well, same with Steins
That's
Gate as
fucking
well, right?
stupid.
Like
Isn't it
Steins
weird?
Gate is like, you know, it's like, oh, the first 11 episodes are boring as shit, and I'm like, yeah, I kind.
Really? I love the first 11 episodes. I love every episode of Steins Gate. I thought Steins Gate was like packed. I thought it was like pretty much flawless. In fact, I didn't even enjoy the ending all that much. I didn't enjoy. Man, I don't remember the characters' names at all. It's been quite a while. I remember Kurisu and Okabe or whatever, but I don't remember anybody else's names. I didn't like a lot of the misunderstandings that happened at the end. I didn't like how it turned into like the way the cinematography and everything was like Indian soap opera level drama, you know. It got a bit violent and stuff, if I remember correctly. And I'm like, bro, just keep it the way it is. I love like the science show. I love this science show. And so I actually enjoyed the first 11 episodes probably more than the end. But that's just me.
Filler, man. A film is like
And then there's this, which I feel like plays into what I was saying earlier.
3.5 hours or some shit, bro. Cut some of that down. What is this, like the fucking Schneider cut?
That's crazy
Do you have
runtime.
any controversial or unpopular opinions of anime?
You got mad at me 5 seconds ago for Full Metal Alchemist
That makes a
Brotherhood.
conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, do you do this? This is a quick aside.
Okay.
But okay, I will consume an anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And depending on if it's a good ending, I will feel emotion and I'll mull over the thoughts for like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'm like Googling, like, okay, what do people think about this show? Do people like the show?
Right,
What did
right.
people And like, I'll look up all of that shit,
Yeah.
and then I'll like add outside knowledge, my own thoughts, and I'll try.
Brilliant. Why not? Humans are social creatures. We developed our tastes originally from the social interactions that we've had with everybody we've known up until this point, with what our parents have taught us and what our friends have done, and you know, the relationships we've been in, and you know, people who have, you know, respected us or betrayed us, and all this stuff, and our teachers, and you know, watching people in the news and all this. It all plays into our tastes of why we enjoy something. Why wouldn't we continue that? Why wouldn't we continue on that journey?
To form my opinion on it. Is that how you guys do it, or do you just have your own thoughts?
I used to.
You can't just have your own thoughts. You can't. It's not possible. If you think you are, you're not thinking hard enough. You're not actually thinking about it if you think you're having your own thoughts.
Do that, and then I had to stop myself. So now when I watch things, I do not look at reviews
Before?
before and after.
Really?
I don't want to know. Sometimes I'll have a look, and I'm curious because like I'll be like, because sometimes
Yeah, he won't, but he's also incorporated it into his life in another way. He'll talk on stream about something. He'll go out and go to like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure themed bar or something and talk about JoJo with these people. So he incorporates, I mean, you might be able to say it's not technically a review, but he incorporates other perspectives and other opinions and more a larger understanding, a social understanding of this piece of media into his life. And he does that all the time on stream with like Iron Mouse and all that stuff. He talks about shows and stuff all the time.
It's always when I think something is bad, but I'm not sure. I'm like, this is bad, I think.
And besides, where would he even get the recommendations from? If it's not before or after, if he's really going hard and not looking at stuff before, right? How would he even know what to watch? The simple fact that you're even getting a recommendation, or something is showing up on Mal, or something is showing up in your Netflix recommended, or something has a cool title that you see, or a cool poster that you see, or something like that. The simple fact that these things are even what they are will play into your enjoyment of the series. Everything does.
And I feel like people might like it, so I go and look just to confirm. But I don't read reviews. I never read reviews.
Do you think that's because it'll?
Cool. I don't like reading reviews either. Personally, I don't like it either. But in that way, you can also, I expect my audience to be intelligent enough to understand what I mean by reviews. If I'm like breaking it down, by definition, it doesn't make much sense. But when I say it in that context, I hope you can understand what I mean by that. And I don't even feel like explaining it. Briefly, like, I never check the Mal rating of something. If somebody says, hey, watch this piece of media, I won't go and look at what other YouTubers have to say about that piece of media beforehand. Like, you can understand what I mean by that. But the simple fact that somebody told me to watch it, you could describe that as a review. But when he says, I don't watch reviews, I get what he's saying. I can extract the essence of what he's saying. Not the literal words, but the essence. Because he did his best explaining it. If anything, what he just did right now is also a review. That's also very valuable information. So, yeah, it's a review of the community as a whole.
Like sully what your thought of it is?
Definitely. I feel like...
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what everything does. All context will either sully or enhance the media you consume. Because you could go really deep and you could make the argument that there is no difference between the media you consume and the interactions you have with others. At the end of the day, it's all just character-driven storytelling. It's just narrative. Whether it be history that everyone agrees is, real and nonfiction versus a fictional book that you read, a manga that you read, at the end of the day, it does the same thing to your brain. It does the same thing chemically to you. So it's basically, it operates in practice. It's the same. Interactions of people in real life versus somebody telling you gossip about interactions other people had, drama that they had with each other, will both teach you something about the way people act. And that's why people watch stuff in the first place. To learn about others and to learn about themselves, about who they are deep down. So, yeah, none of this stuff is trivial. If I was to put it into like one phrase, nothing is trivial.
There's, when you watch those like explainer videos and they explain more of the thing to you, and you're like, oh, that's so big brain. Like, I watched Dune and I love Dune.
Yeah.
But when I watched a bunch of explainer videos, I was like, oh, I think I like Dune more.
Yeah.
Then I'm like...
Yeah, I watched that recently. I fell in love with Dune lore, bro.
I watched an 1.5-hour video about Dune. And I'm like, is that... I'm like, is that... Do I need that to enjoy it? Like,
Wait, he might have watched the same video as me.
if I didn't watch that, would I like Dune as much? And it's kind of like this weird thing of like, how much do you actually enjoy something if everything has to be explained to you and bogged down and reviews have to be explained to you and all that?
Well, maybe it's not necessarily like new information they're feeding
Yeah.
you, but rather something
I
that
missed
maybe
it.
you thought subconsciously, which is now actually
Yeah.
being said to you to
Yeah.
make you realize,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
No, that absolutely does play into it. In both regards, that does play into it. And that's not... That shouldn't be... I mean, it could be. Maybe. It could be a shot at, the original piece of media for not including everything in the original piece of media. But the simple fact that you are consuming these other things is proof in itself that other media of it does exist and is able to propagate at a level to which you can also consume that. That's the beauty of the internet. And that's the beauty of communities in general. a lot of pieces of very, very well-known media, like I mentioned earlier, with Pimp My Ride and my Pimp My Ride review. Don't believe that in the description too. Everyone knows about Pimp My Ride. It's an extremely popular, popular meaning well-known show. Not that many people watch it, but everybody knows what it is. Nobody talks about it. There's very little discussion about it. And then you look at some animes. Bro, nobody watched Odd Taxi. Every YouTuber talked about Odd Taxi. And I got an Odd Taxi review too. I'll put that in the description. But yeah, it does play into it. And it should.
I always thought
It should, not because I'm deciding it should. It should because it does. I'm looking at the world and going, amor fati, it is what it is. It does, therefore that's what we do. So don't deny that part of yourself.
maybe that element might have been good, but
Right,
now
right.
that I'm
Yeah.
keep getting it explained, yeah, now I can confirm
Maybe.
my suspicions. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I find, as the guy who finished like all the fucking Sword Art Online.
But yeah, even with Sword Art Online, I was just about to mention that. You're not giving yourself enough credit, Joey. Like, go further than that. Take it all the way. People don't give themselves enough credit. People undersell themselves. It's like, if a piece of media not only confirms that you enjoy something that you already enjoy, no. If something completely changes your opinion on something, that's valid simply because it changed your opinion on that thing. It did do that. And if that's what it did, then that's valid.
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point with anime where you watch anime and you see the good shit and you're like, damn, that's the good shit. I want to find more of that. And then you kind of realize that you have taste, right? And so you have things that you like about shows and things that you don't like about shows. And just because some of the elements about why people are praising a show in like all the good shows are present, that maybe it still doesn't appeal to you. So you kind of like shave off all the fat to only like the core elements that you do like, even if that's a very, very niche thing. So you get to a point where I can tell why I like a show, even if other people won't like that show. Like, I can say why I would like watched all the Sword Art Online, even though a lot of people clown on Sword Art Online.
Right.
You recognize the shit things about the show, and you just kind of learn to ignore it at the end of the day.
I like doing it because it kind of feels to me like you can enjoy a sports game.
Yeah.
And like you can watch basketball, you can be like, oh, dunk is cool, he jumped high.
Yeah.
But if you are sitting next to Michael Jordan while watching the game, like his
Precisely. We're social creatures. And other people's experiences that you can understand. His implication, we all understand what he means when he's describing this. Everybody can understand that because we're not stupid. So don't treat your audience like they're stupid. When they see you as a reviewer review something and go like, man, that dunk was crazy or that dunk was not so good or whatever, they can understand your perspective, whether it be an expert of the field or just have a really intuitive understanding as to your tastes, and maybe even have similar taste to that, and go like, okay, they thought about it this way because of this. Interesting. Let me factor that into my consideration. And that's like, you might try to say, oh, but that's what humans do. That's like the human condition, is in terms of being social, is taking in other people's perspectives, maybe not through the words that they say, but through the subtext, but because of what you understand from what they say. Maybe even not to you, but maybe to other people, you just pick up on it. And using that to better understand the world, to then better understand the characters in the world, to then better understand the world even more, and a feedback loop that helps you better understand everything around you, including yourself. And that's what our brain just tries to do insatiably as human beings, as animals, really. So why the hell would you deny that part of yourself? Why the hell would you go, no, let me not do this? Go for it. Go all in.
level of insight would be like, okay, you are not seeing the things the way I'm seeing them.
Yeah.
And I know that my lens is probably like very narrow in what I'm seeing, and that goes for like shows, movies, whatever.
Of course.
I suppose so.
So that's why I like to, like I watched Tom Popo, I think I told you guys about, which is like the Japanese 80s movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, this movie is
It's the
sick.
only movie made in the 80s.
Yeah, the only Japanese movie
From
made in the
Akira
80s.
Asakawa or whatever his name is.
No other movies were made in the entirety of the
one
80s.
in there.
Just replaying it. And
It was a
everything.
tough decade, is what it is. There was a recession.
No, the 80s, they were in the economic bubbles. The best time for Japan.
Somewhere else there was a recession. Sri Lanka was going through it.
When is Sri Lanka going through it?
That's true.
I mean, go.
No, yeah, but I was watching it and I was like, okay, I left and I was like, I thought this was a good movie. I liked it. But then I looked up like little things about it and it was like, yeah, it was actually also a direct contrast to like Western American movies and like old fashioned spaghetti Westerns. And it was like, they called it like a ramen Western. I was like, oh shit. And then like I could think about it in that lens. And I feel like if I were to rewatch it, I would like have new appreciation.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like stuff.
I mean, I want to watch all the Akira Kurosawa films. Which one did he mention? Which one did he say? Made in the 80s? Dang, there's a lot. Holy shit. Okay, well, I'll get to it eventually.
Like that, where you discover things that you can make you appreciate a certain show more.
Yeah.
That happens like a lot actually. But like in terms of like reading, thinking a show is good and reading,
It happens all the time, constantly. The only difference is how much you notice it. That's it. Everything you've ever experienced in your life will lead you to the opinion you have of a piece of media that you watch or consume. You know, I'm trying to be as vague as possible about it. And the only difference between, you know, prozd and gigguk and me in terms of what we're conversing about, maybe not prozd, he's being a bit stupid about it, but the only real difference between gigguk and me in this particular moment in what we're saying is there are other factors, and it happens a lot, but some of them are very noticeable, some of them are very obvious, like what somebody literally has to say about a piece of media that might influence the way you think about it, versus other things like your experiences in your life and your journey through your childhood and school and your proclivity to do certain things and get in trouble in this way and all these things that will impact the way that you view something. And so it's just, what percentage of your life are you willing to concede that you, because you're never going to notice all of it, we're human beings at the end of the day, but what percentage of your experiences are you willing to at least understand and accept that this is what's actually playing into my enjoyment of the show? And he's saying it happens all the time. So a decent chunk of what you experience is playing into your enjoyment of the show rather than just the objective, enjoyable experience of the show. I'm saying it's the whole thing. And I'm sure if they thought about it enough, they would come to a similar conclusion to me at the very least. That it's significant. It's significant is what it is.
reviews, and you were just like, my opinion was wrong. This show is actually bad. You know?
I love it when there's like,
And same thing happened with SAO for me. Same thing. It happens all the time.
you know, you
When something happens that direct and that abrupt, and when somebody is able to put it into words so well that makes you completely change your opinion on anime or something like that, like from really bad to really good or really good to really bad instantly, like in the course of 10-minute video or whatever, then it's shocking. But I think it's more, it's less that, oh, we're so easily influenced and that's a bad thing. I think it's more, wow, that's impressive that this person was able to communicate something so complex that I didn't think about before, that I didn't have the perspective of before, in such a concise way. In fact, I'm even more appreciative of when people are able to change my taste like that, you know?
can rewatch a movie and there's those really cool things that you missed.
Yeah.
But I still think and fully believe that a movie or a TV show on your first watch should still have everything for you that you can enjoy.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't do that and it requires someone to sit you down and be like, no, because let me...
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the person, but I'm also a person, I'm not some outside observer that's always on Warfatsi going, okay, things are the way they are. I'm also a human being in that I believe things should be a way that they should have a certain way that they go, and that I'm going to make an attempt to make it that way based on my own personal preference. I also understand that. And I think, I think the Dune movie could have been significantly better if they had made things a bit clearer. I think if they included some more scenes, if it was a bit of a longer movie, if they, had narrative, not narration, but in whatever way, whether it be dialogue or showing, not telling, or whatever, I believe if they had more, it would have been a better movie. I believe that if I was able to get the same information that I could out of that YouTube video that I watched, where I watched the Dune lore, like the books versus the movie, if I was able to get all that information out of the movie and it was able to be like beautiful and all that stuff, I think I'd like it significantly more than what I watched in the theater. But that's just me. Other people might go, hey, you know what? I've lived my whole life like this. People younger than me who are always on social media, they might go, I totally don't mind at all, the idea that a movie is more than what you just watched in the theater, and what I see on social media about it is basically a given that I'm going to see that every time that I watch a movie. So I'll let that play into it as well.
Explain this to you. Let me explain. And I'm like, then it's failed.
Yeah.
But if I can go back and do it a second time and watch it.
So he's explaining his personal preference, and I agree with him here. This is my personal preference as well. But I can't discount the fact that some other people might see it differently.
And I can appreciate all that. Amazing.
Yeah. Like the only time it ever really happens to me where I change my opinion instantly is only like when I'm fucking watching like MasterChef or something, where they bring out a dish. I'm like, that dish looks delicious. And then Gordon says, it's disgusting.
It's
I'm
fucking raw.
I knew it was disgusting from the start. It looked horrible,
That happens a lot in MasterChef now that I think about it. Like, yeah, it's become kind of weird to the point where I don't know if the food is supposed to like be, oh, this food is a mess, look at all the things all over the place, and I'm like, I just don't cast any judgment onto the food until they talk about it, and then I learn a thing or two from there, possibly.
I'm with you, Gordo. You're so right, Daddy.
Damn, no cap facts.
When they bring out too much food, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's so much bang for your buck. And he's like, why is there so much food? It's disgusting. And I'm like, oh god, yeah.
It's like, yeah, think about the children.
Dude, that's fucking, what a waste of food. What a waste of food, dude. Fucked up.
I was talking to Mr. Beast about that because he hung out with Gordon.
Casual name drop.
Wow, what a flex.
You've heard of him?
I was a private jet,
And he was like,
Man, Mr. Beast loves Ludwig. It's because they both pursue content creation for the same reason. They're both in it for the same vein. In fact, I believe Ludwig is gonna one of these days, like after like 3 years or something like that. After like 3 more years or something, he's just gonna quit content creation entirely and just have all the money that he made and all that stuff, and just hang out online and stuff, and not grind the way that he is right now. Which is like, I don't personally understand it. I love content for the sake of creating content, but that's why they resonate with each other a lot.
yeah, he's just really
They're all about the numbers.
serious about his food. Like because he'd be all jokey and fun because obviously like his Willy Wonka shit was like not real cooking.
Yeah.
Of course.
But when he ate the food, he like took it so seriously and would retort like very seriously and like meanly. But it's just because he loves food so much.
Yeah.
Right,
And I was like, it's crazy to love something and be that knowledgeable about it.
Imagine having like, Gordon Ramsay flies out to you and he's like, yeah, what'd you go get for food? Just pick a restaurant. You're like, oh fuck. Pick a restaurant? What do you mean I gotta pick a restaurant? Must be.
I think it's pretty easy actually to please Gordon Ramsay. Like, if you do something simple, I think that's what like you go to a place where they do, they got like nice omelets, Everybody can agree what a nice omelet is. There's no like oh, this omelet is a million times better than the omelets. No. You go to a place where they care, where they put like care and effort into their food, and they keep it simple, simple ingredients. It's not like super high risk, high reward, some insane like million different spices or whatever. You just keep it simple. Just here's some eggs and toast, Here's like a bagel with it too if you want it, Just simple food like that. I think that'll please. I think Gordon Ramsay would never complain about that sort of thing, I think I can make food that Gordon Ramsay would like. I think if I cooked up some instant ramen and threw some like really good spices and stuff in there, threw a couple vegetables in there and stuff like that, I think he'd be like, yeah, pretty good. Because I'm not risking anything. Simple food. But that's unrelated. Why that? No. Okay, I'm done with this. That's all I wanted to. Yeah, I just wanted to make this little stream. Okay, bye guys.